Welcome back, everybody. It's just the two of us this time. No special guests. It's just me and John. And we are here to talk about in my opinion, bigger and better of the two major Comic-Cons, New York Comic Con.
It's my favorite, but it does have a little con complex.
Not anymore. I really like, granted, I haven't been since I think 17. I think 2017 is the last time I went to one. And it felt like it was on par with San Diego. It didn't feel and San Diego was movies and video games, and New York Comic Con was comics, right? Which is why I think, San Diego Comic Con, everyone, all we talked about was the Hall H panels, right? When we talked about that, here, yeah. I have three things that I want to hit.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is television, and the other two are comic books.
Well, my impression of the whole thing was that if there was a theme to New York Comic Con this time, it was endings of last season of Picard, endings of the Krakoa and X-Men as we know them, and endings of comic book shops, perhaps.
Well, no, I don't think so.
I know we've heard that one before, but.
Well, and Ryan Higgins, who was a guest on a previous show, and let's just jump right into it, right? DC Universe Infinite, the streaming service for unlimited DC Comics, announced a new tier that will give you access to collected editions and comic books 1 month after release.
1 month. Ultra. We're running out of superlatives for these things. We have Infinite Ultra. Next one will be a Mega.
And Marvel Unlimited, so I believe DC Universe Infinite runs normally about 6 months behind. And Marvel Unlimited runs 3 months behind. So this new tier would get folks closer to getting comics as they come off of the presses. And it led to the typical drones from people about, this is the end of comic shops and comic shops are doomed, and but they're not, right? Because let's be completely honest with ourselves. The value of these streaming services is not the new titles, it's the back library.
At present, but if this gap closes, so does that value gap. I mean, I think that's the issue is you've got, what you've said has been true. But how long does it, just because it has been doesn't mean it will continue to be, especially if they make the market shift that they're working towards. And I don't see why it wouldn't be successful.
I'd be interested to see how it shifts, how doing day and date might shift purchase patterns. But even a month behind, there's stuff that I read on Marvel Unlimited, and there probably would be stuff that I read on DC Infinite if I didn't have reviewer access. I'll be completely honest with you. There is stuff that I probably would hold off on until it came out there. But for the stuff that I'm passionate about, the Exterminators, for example, or Knights of X or Way of X, right? Those are ones that I subscribe to in print. I'm not waiting. New Mutants, I'm not waiting for those to come out. And I think comic readers as a whole are savvy enough, at least the ones who go into shops regularly, are savvy enough to know that this stuff matters, right? That not waiting for the Marvel Unlimited drop or the DC Infinite drop helps keep it alive longer. So, and then there's also the mega event component to it, right? Something like the Avengers X-Men Eternals crossover happening right now, Judgment Day. That's not the kind of thing you want to hold off on, right? That's not the kind of thing you want to wait 6 months for, because it's a big deal. It's going to have repercussions across the line. And quite honestly, for me, it was a culmination of 5 different stories that I cared about. So that I'm reading as it comes out in print, or as I pick them up from my shop in print. And nothing short of day and date would change that.
Day and date's coming though, and if it gets here, if it gets to be that simultaneous release, then this argument suddenly starts sounding a lot like the argument that newspapers were making. Well, when in the wave of online news media content, you know how that's playing out. Newspapers aren't gone by any means, but are they what they were? No. And are these papers having to do something else to supplement their income? Yeah.
But the newspaper, that the online component to the newspapers isn't what is hurting the journalism industry, right? It's the financialization of it. It's not the fact that your local Gannett paper can't make the same money that it used to be able to off of classified ads is not the reason why Gannett is stripping that local paper for parts, right? And farming out everything but the most hyper local beat to somebody in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, but the Times,
that's not
the Post, the Tribune
are all seeing record subscription numbers. They're all making money hand over fist.
Numbers.
And they are all making money hand over fist. Online subscription numbers, right? People are paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even though they give it away, even though you get your free articles, even though there's stuff that's not paywalled.
They're at that balance point at the moment. Balance point could change in a month or a year, but it's a struggle. It is a struggle. I don't think you can pretend that it's not a struggle.
I think that, this is an entirely hypothetical conversation. There are labor issues up the wazoo with going day and date free. The way that comic creators are compensated if they go day and date has to change. Otherwise, they're not going to have comic creators anymore, mm-hmm. Right? So, and the last thing that the movie divisions want is trouble with the IP farm.
Well,
so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here.
I know it's always one thing or other that's supposed to be the end, but this one looks rough.
No, I'm not worried about it. Just like the newspapers, I am much less concerned about the internet than I am about the mega corporations that own the production lines.
Well, maybe we should be more worried about the Comixology and Amazon original content kicking in.
If Comixology hadn't done everything in their power to blow their app up, I would be more concerned about that. Yeah. I haven't been able to use Comixology since they made the switch, though.
No.
It's terrible. It's so completely non-functional.
No, it still works for me, but
really, it's not good for me.
Well, so all right. So
anyway,
you've grudgingly brought me along to this idea that the comic book shop system is not about to implode on itself.
If ebooks didn't kill local bookstores and Amazon didn't kill local bookstores, then this isn't going to kill local comic shops. Now, the comic shops that are putting the work in to build community, that are giving folks an excuse to come by the shop, that act as hubs, social hubs for folks, and the comic shops that cared for their customers through the pandemic, those shops are not going anywhere.
Bringing a tear to my eye.
I've one of the things that I've scaled back my Den of Geek output pretty substantially over the last few months. One of the things that I'm still doing is the shop interviews for the magazines, and every single shop that I talk to, it's all about building community. It's all about giving people an excuse to come and hang out. And the ones that do that are the ones that are thriving right now. And digital is an afterthought for them.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the coolest things about shops, and what I miss more than anything about not having one around.
Right. But, think about our bookstores, though, right? Like your bookstore in town has stuff going on all the time. They have a community built around it, right? Like the bookstore closest to me, we have a relationship with the people who work there. We called them up at the beginning of the pandemic and said, "Hey, here's what we'd like. Pick 3 books and send them to us," right? And those are the bookstores that do great, right? And every time I walk into my shop in Burlington, we have a 15-20 minute conversation about what's been going on in the latest books, and we chat with the people who are there with us, throwing out comic recommendations to people, and they're taking them. So it's that That's the stuff that works.
Well, you know what'll really work, what'll really make that whole industry thrive is legal weed dispensaries. You could
Right up
stop.
the street.
You can, no, same store, man. They need to branch a little. You go in, you get your newest comics, you get your edibles, you go home. There's a business model for you.
It's not a terrible idea.
Not
I
at all.
will not dispute that.
So I guess we've
let's get into
digressed
the
a little.
goods, right? Let's get into the good shit here. So I've got the stuff that I care about on the comic side that I'm really interested in is the X-Men stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
And the Superman stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Superman stuff. So where are you at? So let's give a spoiler warning because we're going to talk about what's been happening in things.
I haven't read what's going on with Superman. I had to play catch up a little bit to figure out what's going on at all, and a couple other things caught my eye, I think, including what we were just talking about. But no, tell me what's going on with Superman.
Okay, so there's obviously the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths stuff that is happening right now with Pariah trying to recreate the Infinite multiverse. There has also been Action Comics. Philip Kennedy Johnson's run on Action Comics is low-key one of the best Superman runs since the Triangle era. And it's all like, it's kind of Superman as Conan the Barbarian or Gladiator, right? Superman and his handpicked authority trek off to Warworld because he finds out that there are Kryptonians there. His powers are waning, and they get split up, and they spend the better part of a year in the gladiator pits on Warworld. And Superman refuses to kill anybody. They call him the Unbloodied Sword. He eventually leads a revolution against Mongol, and what I've just finished reading is when they come back to Earth. It's really good. It's really, really strong stuff. It contextualizes Midnighter and Apollo in the DC universe in a way that I didn't think was possible.
Wow.
Right?
All right. No, I missed out. I was reading Superman until recently, and when I stopped reading everything, I've been reading nothing lately. Nothing.
You should get back to it. It's really good.
I need to get back to it. It's I was otherwise engaged for about the last
you did have some stuff going on.
Yeah, last 6 months, and better, the less said about that, the better. Actually, that's not true. I can talk about that forever, but
no, I would
keep it mysterious.
We do also need to put a meeting on the books to talk about that. Anyway, so Philip Kennedy Johnson stays on Action, but Action after in the winter switches to an anthology book. Josh Williamson and Jamal Campbell. Josh Williamson is writing the big crossover right now. Jamal Campbell drew the absolutely incredible Green Lantern book with N.K. Jemisin.
You're cheating. You're looking it up, aren't you?
I am looking it up. I forgot.
I could hear the clicks.
Far Sector. Jesus Christ. I don't understand. I've been begging DC for an absolute edition of it because, oh my God, Campbell's incredible. Campbell's art is incredible. Jemisin's writing was amazing. I will buy anything that Campbell is drawing. And they're taking over the main Superman comic. Leah Williams, who has written some absolutely off-the-wall stuff in the X line, is writing a Power Girl story in Action. And Dan Jurgens and Lee Weeks are doing a follow-up to their Convergence story from 2015 about John still a kid.
When was the last time? If I missed it, when was the last time we saw Jurgens writing? It's been a while, hasn't it?
He's been around. He's been writing some stuff. Actually,
yes.
I don't know. I think he's been consulting on some of the Superman stuff in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember what the most recent thing he's been writing is. Oh, he's also been doing something, one of the follow-ups to Death of Superman, because that's the 30th anniversary is this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got something coming out.
Well, Jurgens is a journeyman. He's always pretty dependable.
He's a pro.
Yeah.
We talk about the triangle era, right? The guy was right in the middle of it. He wrote and drew Superman 75, which feels like an insane thing to say. God, I'm so old.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to hear it. You
I
don't want to
know.
get me going on that. You know what happens.
No, that's fair. We will talk all day about how our knees are telling us that it's going to rain.
Well, but tell me what you think of the of all the X news, all of Sinister making his move to put everything
Okay.
back to the way it was before. How's this going and what's happening?
No, he's not trying to put anything back the way that it
We're
was.
not trying to,
So,
but what's the end game for the actual titles is what I'm
uh,
wondering.
okay. So, are you up to date on everything that's going on there?
Yeah,
Did you
sort
read?
of.
Did you read Inferno and did you read Immortal X-Men #1?
I read Inferno. I didn't read
You did
Immortal
not
X-Men
read.
number
So you
one.
know that at the end of Inferno, Moira is no longer a mutant, but her powers have been and her story have been revealed to the entire Quiet Council.
Right.
At the end of Immortal X-Men 1, Sinister has his own private lab with like 45 tanks full of sleeping Moiras.
Oh, hey, I didn't see this.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll go back and check that out.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
you know how when you're playing a video game, you'll alternate save slots. So if one of them gets corrupted, you can go back and just you don't lose that much,
Right.
right? That's what he's been doing with Moira's.
Oh, all right.
He beams everything into her brain and then kills that one
See, man, you get
and
me, you
restarts
get
the
me back
universe.
into X-Men. I get kind of caught up, then I lose it again. And now you're getting me back into X-Men again.
I
I don't know why do you always do this to me? Now I got to go back and read some.
you gotta now you're gonna have to read Eternals too because Judgment Day is really good.
You were telling me how great Eternals was. I think last time we did one of these.
Mm-hmm.
And
And now the X-Men are deviants.
what?
Yeah, mutation is they are deviant. They are an offshoot of the deviants.
An offshoot? So it's not just that they're different words for the same thing. They're
They
offshoot.
are descendants. They are a branch, a branch off of a very early portion of the evolutionary tree, something like that. The deviants can use Krakoan gates without any manipulation.
So they're not even mutants, aren't even human mutants. So we're not homo superior anymore. We're devious superior. What is, I
No,
mean,
they're still humans. They're just
deviants aren't humans. They're one of the three races that were made, and humans were humans, and deviants are deviants.
okay. Maybe they are then. Maybe there is some fiddling happening there. Anyway, um, the eternal war. This is unrelated to I think what's going to happen here, except for one piece of it. Um, so Uranos gets unleashed on Mars on Araco to take out the Arakan mutants at the very beginning of the war because Druig is trying to basically manipulate Eternal Society into destroying the mutants so that he can retain power. He lets Uranos and his weapons out, and Uranos goes and attacks Mars, rips Magneto's heart out, and then for the
Jesus,
next
man. I
for
need
the
to, I don't know what the hell's going on.
so Uranos is like the right
Oh my
the
God. All
progenitor,
right.
right? The
All right.
first one.
Yeah. I
He's a
got to go
super
back
bad
and
dude.
read some of
Super,
this.
super bad dude. Rips Magneto's heart out. Magneto spends the next 2 issues manually pumping blood through his body with his magnetic powers.
Yeah.
And
You got to do what you got to do.
mhm, and ends up really messing him up pretty bad, but then dies. So announced at New York Comic Con were 2 things related to that. One is the Sins of Sinister, which
Right.
is basically Age of Apocalypse. If Sinister was if hyper campy Sinister was the main bad guy instead of Apocalypse. So you're going to get several of the titles changing names for the tenure of the Sins of Sinister crossover.
Mm-hmm.
X-Men Red becomes Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Legion of X becomes Nightcrawlers, and Immortal X-Men becomes Immoral X-Men, which is just great. Love it.
And Nightcrawler is going to be spiky. Is that right?
No, potentially, but it does look like Laura is a Nightcrawler on here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also, at some point, I definitely saw preview art that had um, Rasputin 4 from Powers of 10.
Oh, man.
Mhm. Yeah. So apparently,
This is going to be a big, crazy brouhaha. The alternate
mhm,
titles thing, though, I'm surprised they haven't done that since Age of Apocalypse, because it was a
they
roaring
did.
success.
They did. It was, but it wasn't very good. I mean, some of the individual books were fine, but it was Age of X-Man, which was the crossover right before Hickman's reboot, where hippie guy Nate Gray from Age of Apocalypse
Mm-hmm.
creates an alternate reality where no physical affection is permitted because he blames physical affection for why the world is so crappy.
Yeah, I was aware of this. Whatever.
The
Didn't
Vita
go on.
Ayala and Leah Williams had, and Shannon McGuire had miniseries tied in with that from that universe, and those were really good. But
They
the
were
rest of it was extremely forgettable.
all right. Well, X-Man. Yeah,
I know,
that was a
I
terrible
know.
idea.
It's fine. I miss him. He was so bad. Such a terrible character. Anyway, all right. So save skipping Mr. Sinister is going to create an alternate, an offshoot of the timeline. That's going to be what Sins of Sinister is.
But is the
But
end game going to be to put something pre-Hickman back together? That's what I'm wondering about all this.
I
Is
don't
that
think
where we're
so.
headed?
I don't think so. Because here's the thing, right? Um, every crossover since House and Powers has been about peeling off somebody important from the council, right?
Okay.
Jean went during the Hellfire Gala.
Mm-hmm.
Apocalypse went during Swords. Moira
Okay.
went in Inferno, and Destiny came back.
Okay. Where are you going
And
with this?
Magneto died in Judgment Day.
Yeah,
Right?
that's going to be he'll be back before the end of this whole thing.
No, he crushed it. He destroyed his backup as part of his like job on the ruling
Oh,
council.
I mean outside of the backup,
Sure, he'll be. Of course, he'll be back. But
But I
like,
mean, he'll be back by the time the dust settles on this whole event, I would say.
no, I don't think he will. I think Fall of X is Charles walking away, or Charles doing something horrible,
Huh.
and the council turning on him.
All right. Well, you are the expert on these things.
It was a fairly compelling theory that I saw on social media floating around. I'm not sure who said it because I don't
take credit.
I'm not stealing credit from somebody. I just got to figure out who I'm going to give credit to.
Might as well. This is all doing this over the internet. It's all about. There is no credit anymore. It's all yours.
But I don't want to be that guy. You know. So anyway, that the theory, it resonated with me, and it sounds like that's going to be Charles's downfall. Or my guess is that it's going to be Charles's downfall.
Well, we will stay tuned and have you back here when it's all said and done. See how right you were.
Also, some fun stuff happening that was announced today at the Women of Marvel panel. Stephanie Phillips and Carlos Gomez doing a Rogan Gambit mini, which looks delightful. Lots of Destiny on the cover.
A little more throwback stuff for us.
Well,
oldies.
Did you read the? There was a issue that highlighted Rogue of Jerry Duggan's X-Men, and it had the three of them interacting with each other, and Destiny telling Gambit what a terrible son-in-law he is and how disappointed she is in him. It was really, really funny. I'm very high on this. X-23 Deadly Regenesis from Erica Schultz and Edgar Salazar, and Betsy Braddock Captain Britain from Teenie Howard and Vasco Georgiev, coming in February, which is an ongoing coming out of the end of Knights of X, which the Betsy Braddock stuff in Knights of X and Excalibur before it is really, really strong. And Howard headlined Ten of Swords without getting the headliner credit from it, but everything she's written really since then that I've read has been really good, including her Catwoman.
You know, I love Betsy Braddock's a great character. I'm glad to hear this, but is this series? It's an ongoing, but is it really going to last more than about 18 issues?
If people buy it, yeah.
Well, yeah, but yeah, right. I think we're on the same wavelength here. Are people going to buy it?
They're keeping her in the they're keeping her and Captain Britain in the spotlight for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Something's coming there.
I don't know. In that whole, with the exception, well, not the exception of Excalibur. I think Excalibur may, back in the day, may even prove my point that this sort of Captain Britain characters, they don't do standalone well in the Marvel market. That they have to be some sort of symbiosis with X-Men within an X-Men title. I mean, even Excalibur was essentially an X-Men title. I don't know if I can see, any of this, a Betsy Braddock comic actually hanging on its own without being, without having Wolverine guest star every week or something.
I mean, it was all of these were team books, right? So there's gonna be a crew in it, right? Rachel's on the cover, and so is Brian, with Betsy.
So it is just Excalibur.
Well, kind of, yeah.
All right. So why not call it? Well, whatever.
Because Excalibur stopped after 25, right? It's the next chapter. It's the next chapter of the story. Excalibur was all about Betsy coming to grips with being Captain Britain, and Knights of X was Betsy and Rachel coming to grips with what their relationship was,
with each other,
right, while forcing everybody through the Siege Perilous to like understand their true points and their true meanings, right?
I hate the Siege Perilous.
I thought it worked well here.
Never liked that thing.
I have not done a full Claremont reread because every time I try, I find something that's missing from Marvel Unlimited. And I want to do it chronologically. I don't want to have to skip like 14 issues of New Mutants to do it. So I don't think I've ever read the Siege Perilous stuff post Australia. So I can't judge there, but I think it was handled very well in Knights of X.
All right.
Less about making Callisto hot and more about revealing aspects of their character.
So it's no longer a plot device by which Claremontish characters become Claremonty to the nth degree. So that's a good start. That's a good start for rehabilitation.
No. Yep. Well, so I'm excited. I'm hopeful there. And all of these books go right on the pull list. Stephanie Phillips did a really good run on Harley Quinn.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're up.
Oh, I'm up, huh? Well, I'm going to say since I stopped reading comic books months ago, much to my own chagrin, they're so damn expensive. I know that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse.
No, it is. They're really expensive.
Yeah. But anyways, back to Land of TV. You know what I'm going to talk about. What I've got teed up, and that would be all the happenings in the world of Star Trek, which we've got a couple big things came out there. We had there were some panels, such to talk about, new faces on Prodigy, which are sort of interesting, but not really. But the trailers for Picard season 3 and the next season of Discovery probably merit a little more discussion.
Yep. So, and also, the question of whether or not Kate Mulgrew being asked directly if there's a Janeway show in the works, and her saying
she talks about who she'd like to be on it with her or something.
And no, she just says if the fans demand it enough. Oh. So I think we have our mission here now, right?
As long as she has the hair from the first couple seasons, then I'm down with it. The bun of steel. That was awesome.
They will make that happen. I'm sure they'll make that happen. So what do we want to talk about in Picard first? Do we want to talk about Geordi's daughters or Moriarty?
Well, I think Moriarty and Lore, you picked up. Those are the two. If you were to ask me, what are the two biggest hanging what the hell ever became of that storylines out there? I mean, Lore, they kind of finished, but not really. Lore
and they kill him?
And Moriarty.
Well, okay. So I'm pretty sure I just read timelines from the game. but I thought that the Daystrom Institute before Picard, I thought that the Daystrom Institute pretty conclusively dealt with everything by declaring them sentient beings.
How do you mean dealt with everything?
Weren't they declared by law to be sentient beings and like allowed to live normal lives?
Yeah, most recently. Yeah.
Yeah. And Picard season 1 implied that had changed, right? Because there was a
Right.
lot of synthetic friction. But didn't Lore and
Well, and it did
Moriarty
change.
just go
It
off and
changed
live?
completely. They were a band.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they were no longer allowed to exist.
Okay.
It was pretty
So
twisted.
that would be, so the Doctor from Voyager and Moriarty would have had some problems, right? So that there is stuff that we do need to deal with there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did they gave Moriarty his own ship with a holo emitter in season 6 of Next Generation?
They gave him a just a little box to live in.
Oh, okay.
And and he's none the wiser. So somehow he's gotten out of his little box and is
did they reset him, or he knew he was a hologram, right?
Yes, he did.
Even when he went into the box,
he didn't know he was in the box.
Okay.
That was the trick. But
he's
so smart, he's so clever.
It wasn't an agreement then. It wasn't a deal. They tricked him into it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that one's going to be fun.
That should be a blast. And Lore's a prick. So
Lore, but at least we're going to talk Lore again, man. I mean, the Nemesis, where we all pretended there was no Lore. We had what they call it before. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And nobody even mentions Lore. He becomes the thing that will not be mentioned or must not be discussed, or I don't know what they were thinking or weren't thinking at the time. But that was the biggest problem for me with Nemesis right there was.
Yeah. Nemesis had lots and lots of problems though. I will fight people on this. The Next Generation movies were all bad.
First Contact?
First Contact included. First Contact was a great action movie. It was a terrible Star Trek movie.
Huh. I only feel really strongly about Insurrection. Could not stand that movie. Oh,
yeah,
God.
I didn't care for any of them, but
how do you have a Luddite Star Trek story? Sorry.
No.
Right.
Nope.
Anyways.
Yep. No, you can go. You can do it if you need to.
So what do we think about Discovery? All right. The Discovery trailer sent some warning flags up for me.
Tell me why.
The warning flag that it felt a little like Discovery trying to reimagine itself. Discovery's problem has always been that it's not quite ever been on firm footing of what it wants to be. Mm-hmm. And it shifts a little bit, and it's never quite sure. This one looks like they're really trying to go with the fun. Now we're going to have the fun Discovery, which is they danced a little with the stuff, when we get into the underworld a little this last season. Mm-hmm. But if they're going all in with it, the warning flag to me is that why do we need to reinvent something if it's working? Makes me wonder if Disco is getting to the end of its lifespan here.
Potentially. The warning flag for me is all the Cronenberg in the trailer.
I love Cronenberg in that show. He's awesome.
I think he's fantastic, but he's Section 37, right? Like he's Starfleet Intelligence Services and not like Starfleet's hopeful, happy side. So
yeah, but he was not the grim, horrible version of it that we've seen.
No, but they definitely played him against expectations. They did a really good job of playing him against expectations, actually, because you see him talking about intelligence stuff. You see him interrogating people. You think it's going to be a Section 37 thing. You see it. You see David Cronenberg on a Star Trek show, and after the initial shock of it, you're saying, what are they going to do here? What kind of body horror are they going to work in with this? And it turns out he's actually like wholesome and helpful and supportive.
Right.
But he's still that, right? So it's really easy to slip him back into the what you would expect him to be.
I did not recognize him as David Cronenberg when he started in the show. I was like, God, they got some dude who looks just like David Cronenberg. And I swear to God, I watched a couple episodes before I decided to look. And I'm like, holy shit, that is David Cronenberg. What is he doing on Star Trek?
Right? It's like the Stacey Abrams cameo, right? Except he's got more time, so he can just hang around. That's good for him. It made me like him even more.
Oh yeah. No, apparently he's been a big Trekkie for some time. So good on him.
I'm into it.
Mhm.
And then Prodigy. Where are we at on Prodigy?
Well, Prodigy, I guess the big news was not
Finally,
very
2 weeks from
interesting.
now.
Was Jellicoe, the who's now an
Yeah,
admiral, who was the
wasn't Jellicoe in the mind control episode? The mealworms that controlled your mind. Or am I thinking of a
I
different guy?
hate to say it, but I'm not 100% sure. I think Jellicoe was in There Are Four Lights.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I think he was the one who was giving Riker such a hard time, and
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
think
right.
that
That's
was
right.
him.
That's right.
So he served his purpose, but I have absolutely no interest in seeing that character ever again. I don't see why anyone would.
Yeah.
If they wanted to just grab somebody for fan service, they could have done a lot better.
He is the subject of a pretty fun meme account on Twitter.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
What
I guess.
this is what's this account here? We're all
Hang on.
audio here. You need to. What do you got? You're looking it up. You're going to inform
I
us.
am looking it up.
All right.
It's at ST Delta Shift. It's all 6-panel comics from Jellicoe's appearances, with terrible puns at the end.
Okay.
It's really dumb. Please don't hold this against me. It's incredibly
Well,
stupid.
God bless
But
the internet.
I do love it. I do love it a great deal. It's stupid in all the right ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm turning Paramount Plus on as soon as I can cancel HBO Max. So I will get caught up on Lower Decks, and I will probably be a few episodes behind on Prodigy and get caught up at that point too.
Just be patient. HBO Max will cancel itself out from under you.
God, I hope. When I saw commercials in the middle of Fellowship of the Ring, it took everything I had not to cancel it on the spot. But I would have gotten in trouble with my wife. So yeah, it's Star Trek stuff is actually exciting right now, right? Like, as much as we complain about how we might be worried, there are a lot of fans steering the ship over there right now.
Yeah.
And whether you enjoy the direction that they're taking stuff in or not, you cannot deny that they adore it and that they're putting a ton of care into it. Mm-hmm. So I'm into it. I've been enjoying it quite a bit.
Absolutely. And it doesn't now the whole thing doesn't rise and fall on the success or quality of Discovery anymore with Strange New Worlds. So I feel like there's a much more solid foundation than Discovery provided in place now. Well, we're going to have Star Trek for a long time.
They're branching out. They're doing other things, right? They're doing comedy. They're doing kids stuff. They're doing animated series. They're doing the pure nostalgia rips that they're getting out of Picard. So, the more they branch out, the healthier it's going to get.
They haven't given us a musical episode yet, though.
It is only a matter of time.
That was the thing,
They were so close. They were so close 2 or 3 times in Strange New Worlds.
It's true.
Don't just be patient.
I miss the days of the musical episodes. Buffy, Xena.
Actually, I guess since we're talking about musical episodes, we should probably just talk about the singing butts in Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want your musical episodes? There you go.
Yeah. We need to have. We should do a full.
We should do
a full
episode
show
on Doom Patrol. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah, because oh my god, that show is unbelievable. It's it's crazy how, like, top to bottom great the DC shows are.
Yeah, I'm finally getting back into Titans. I had sort of, I got bored after the second season, but I'm backtracking a little. I just needed a little break. We needed a little time apart. It's all good again.
Me and Doom Patrol, we're very close. Superman and Lois, love it.
Yeah,
so
that's been really good. That's been really solid.
Yep. So I'm very happy to see Doom Patrol come back. And when are they coming back?
I don't know. Google it. You're the one.
I'm looking at it right now. December 8th. So, and then they do the first 6 episodes through January 5th. And then part 2 will be released later in 23. Right. So maybe I'll hang around on HBO Max until Doom Patrol goes on break.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess given that we've sort of meandered several times and now seem to permanently have drifted away here into the nether regions away from with Comic-Con well in the rear view window, maybe that's a sign to call it a night.
I think so. I think we can bag it. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thanks for listening. And next time, I'm sure we'll be back to our regular format where some poor soul is dragged onto this show to be told how wrong they are about whatever it is. Actually,
who can we find? Yeah, we should find somebody to yell at.
Yeah. Because usually we're very deferential to our guests, and that's got to stop.
Yeah, we'll be a belligerent. Got this.
All right. See you all next time.
Peace out, everybody.